Welcome to the Department of Homeland Security, the officially unofficial podcast for The Boys on Amazon Prime Video. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 5, titled We Gotta Go Now. I feel like there have been a couple of song references in titles. This is that Louie Louie song, right?
Oh, yeah, we gotta go now. Oh, I thought it was just like, Black Noir's here. We gotta get the fuck out.
I mean, yeah, but you got like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe
you might be right.
There.
You might be right. There's a lot of musical influence in the season for sure.
What'd you think of episode 5 of this season?
I thought it's another really good episode. There's a part like, man, that part where Homelander has this fantasy sequence of like lasering half a crowd,
man,
was like fucking intense. And Anthony Starr continues to bring it with that like little roar he does at the end of it.
Yeah,
my mind was reeling when that was happening. I'm like, well, there's no walking back from this. And then like I was almost a little miffed that it was a fantasy because it was such a game changer. But also, I don't know that Homelander is that stupid. He's clearly psychotic, but not in like I don't even know if he's psychotic. It's like he treats humans the way we treat like cattle and insects.
Yeah, I cannot overstate my disappointment when I realized that it was a fantasy sequence. And here, the one reason that I will give it a pass is because I think it's too early to do something like that. It's such a game changer, like you said, the only escalation from there, the only path forward is to try and destroy Homelander and its all-out war,
right?
And it's the whole planet, it's the end game of the show, and that's not we're not ready for that yet.
Right.
So I wish they hadn't done it though, because it's such a fucking tease, because that's where I want this thing to go. That's the kind of scale, the sort of like scope of this thing that I eventually want to see. So I hope this is like a teaser for what's to come.
Yeah.
As opposed to just something, because the boys will go for something like that. And so I didn't feel like it was a fantasy sequence when it happened. I felt like this is the boys going for it again. But even for a show like this, escalation. Too much too soon, right? You don't want that yet, but you want it eventually.
You do, and just like it just paints the picture of him being like this literal Old Testament God, this figure out of mythos that can kill with just a glance, just by like looking at people, he just cuts half of them down in this very horrific way, and it also felt like a payoff from his casual lasering that got him into trouble. But the reason it worked for me is because they needed to pivot him into running into the arms of Stormfront. And I felt like this, like him thinking, I can't do this by myself. I've somehow lost the grip on this. I don't have it. And him having to realize that like there's two ways he can go. He can either become the thing that they want him to be, and I don't think he wants to do that just yet, because he, they have this thing in psychology called a narcissistic supply. When you've got one of these like people with a narcissistic personality disorder, that they need, like they have such a terrible opinion and constant thoughts of viciousness towards themselves that they need a steady supply of adulation and love from other people that they bully into the giving them this narcissistic supply, and they don't have it. They go into really dark places. And I think he's aware of himself enough that he realized that like, I'm going to either start burning the whole planet to death and rule over a planet of corpses, or I'm going to see, what Stormfront and her meme magic can do for me.
And they've done such great things with depicting a man who is sort of out of time here, right? Like all the Vought stuff is so controlled. It's so old media that when Stormfront comes in and starts, periscoping shit and using memes to control public opinion, like that's such new media type stuff that Homelander just doesn't have his head around. They've painted this like fish out of water with Homelander, and it happened overnight, right? It's like in the span of 5 years, it went from, memes are something funny that the weirdos on the internet do, to this is, this is your uncle posting it on his Facebook page. and getting all of his family to click thumbs up on it. It's something he has to consider now, and he's just not equipped to do it.
Yeah, no, and it's also, it feels very much like it models modern times, that like,
Exactly.
5 years ago you wouldn't think of political figures sharing memes fresh off of not just Reddit but the unsavory parts of Reddit. And now in 2020, the brands are memeing, our politicians are memeing, everyone's memeing. You're damn close to living in that Star Trek episode of Darmok and Jalad, when the walls fell. We're all like, DiCaprio with glass raised. Keanu sits on the bench alone. Like, we're just communicating like entire sentences and thoughts with these fucking memes, and it is kind of crazy and insane, but super fucking effective. Like, there's like one thing that chilled me is where Stormfront's explaining, it's like, you'll know it works when your uncle starts retweeting it on, or starts sharing it on Facebook. Like, fuck. Yeah, no, there's a couple things in this episode I thought were kind of cheesy, like
the movie they're making. That's the cheesiest.
The movie they're making, it really is. Just the how bad we're seeing the parts of it, the whole must be. But I actually thought, as inventive as this show is at doing super violence, what a pedestrian super sex scene.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The burnt laser my tits off was a very strong entrance, but like the actual superhero fucking, I thought, was disappointing.
Yeah,
like,
they're
this
just
show is
floating there in midair. That's the best they can think of.
Yeah, I saw that in Expanse 4 seasons ago. On your own damn delivery service.
I mean, this is the man
and
who
it was executed about as well.
Shapeshifters to become one of his exes, who's got this mommy issues with, and she's talking about lasering her tits, and suddenly they somehow just end up, in a regular prone bone position, floating. Big deal.
Yeah. It's like if Americans spent half as much time inventing crazy cool sex as we did displays of violence, we'd be way better off as a culture. But I was disappointed that this show that's pushed the boundaries so much on what is, acceptable in terms of like just crazy fucking violence, and with a good sense of humor too. I thought they could have done something with a sex scene, like, I don't know what I was expecting, like a ultra sexual violent, Austin Powers scene where they're holding up melons and having, because like, I don't know if the show, but there again, it's like, yeah, you can't show Homelander's dick. You can show him burning woman's eye sockets out and yeeting babies 17 miles, but like, oh god, if we see a vulva or a penis, we're going to clutch all of our super pearls. I was a little let down by the super sex. That's it.
Yeah, it felt like they thought, okay, we got the tit lasering. We can just get out of this now.
Yeah,
we slammed him against the wall. We'll laser the tits and we'll get out.
Tit lasering.
Yeah, that's what this episode is. Shall we get into the recap?
Let's do it.
All right, we start off with Maeve filming Dawn of the Seven in one of the all-time cheesiest coming out scenes in history. When they cut, she tries to get Homelander to stop tormenting her, but he won't. Ashley has this video of Homelander lasering someone. I don't know where this is. Is this supposed to be something we've seen before, or just an unconnected incident?
No, I think it's happened. Like, I think they set it up that Homelander feels like he's losing the PR war to Stormfront, so he goes on an unlicensed overseas adventure to bring justice to some terrorist. And since he doesn't have the PR backing and the intelligence, he just goofs it up. Because he cops to that. Like, I needed a win. And well, now he's... So, gotcha. Yeah, I think he just, like, popped over to, like, Afghanistan or Pakistan or Uzbekistan or Syria and just lasered some dude.
Wow. Anyway, Ashley's got a video of this, and there have been protests happening because of it. And Stan Edgar does not want Homelander doing any press about it because he's just going to fuck it up more. Stormfront offers her help, but Homelander turns her down.
Yeah, no, they're really ramping up the psychosexual tension.
They're really ramping up the shots they're taking at people too. Like, Joss Whedon gets blasted in this scene.
What for?
They say that, like, when Maeve comes out of that scene, the director's like, "Oh, that was awesome." Like, she's like, "Whatever, it's fine," and he's like, "Oh, the Joss rewrites really punch that one up, huh?" And I'm like, okay, it's a Marvel thing, reference, but B, they're taking a big swing at Joss Whedon there. because that's worse than anything I've seen. Joss Whedon do, by far.
Yeah, but I think a lot of Joss, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. I think a lot of people are going back and looking at his work in the '90s with like Buffy and like, and even when I went back and watched Firefly a couple years back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot more sexist than I remember.
So were the 90s. When his like nobody remembers that either. Like
you're right. And then he also like turns out like in his private life was like, you know, cheating on some people he probably shouldn't be cheating on. It's people are
I didn't know that.
If you set yourself up to be the champion of women and writing strong female characters, and then when you retrospect, it's like, did you really? It's so they're kicking him wise down for sure.
Yeah.
But this stuff is like the fact that Homelander is making her engage in this terrible lesbian outreach as a way of just controlling her. It's you know, pretty gross for a lot of different reasons, and how facetious he is with it too.
Yeah, it really feels like he's just being childish, trying to get back at her because she hurt his feelings or something, which is not out of his character at all.
No, but also like to the feedback we got last week, Homelander losing 9.5 percentage points in approval is like physically painful to him. Mm-hmm. I would not have actually guessed that he cared this much about his public image until this episode made it explicit.
Yeah.
So yeah, he must really need that fucking narcissistic supply we talked about last week.
Next scene is Butcher drinking alone at a heavy metal concert. He picks a fight with the biggest guy in the room and gets the shit beat out of him by the rest of the crowd. Mm-hmm. He does take that guy down though. He sucker punches him.
Mm-hmm. And not like he's getting his ass kicked, but like
he's enjoying it.
Not real. Yeah, like this is therapy for him.
Yeah,
for sure.
So then he goes shopping for first aid supplies, which is just Tylenol or something.
And then a bag of frozen peas to put on his face.
Huey calls up to tell him that Liberty is Stormfront. They found that out last episode. Butcher doesn't sound great, and Huey's sad that he didn't say goodbye, I guess. So Butcher apologizes kind of in that Butcher way, although a little more softly this time, a little more sincerely, and then says goodbye by destroying his SIM card.
He drops that "You're my canary" kind of mystery, because if he that gives him something that like of a mystery that Mother and him can solve, which I thought was nice. That like Huey, I don't know, like this episode actually did a lot for me to bring like Butcher and Huey believably together. Like it's an invented plot point, but like the fact that like Butcher had a little brother that he lost along the way was very protective, that like apparently physically and mannerisms reminds him of Huey. That like for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's because I had a little brother that I was kind of protective of myself. But it instantly just kind of clicked for me. It's like, oh, this isn't entirely believable. Their relationship now fully makes sense. And I guess like it did for Huey too, because it feels like the way he's interfacing and working with Butcher is at a completely different level in this episode.
And you needed to get that from someone other than Butcher, right? Butcher was never ever going to bring that up, not a million years. So this is kind of like the first opportunity. Yeah, it feels like, oh, they're just dropping this plot point in here because they want to unite them, but also, I don't know where you get this information other than someone who knows Butcher from childhood, which we haven't seen until now. So
yeah, some of this feels a little low-key lifted off of the Fast and Furious franchise, because they did with Jason Statham's mother, who's played by Helen Mirren, and she's a gangster too, and like these are literally the same characters. But if this is in the comic book, that might predate it, but also like this this mashup culture, like what is even plagiarism anymore, Jim? Borrowing this stuff from them, like I guess it's all fair game. But you're right. You needed some third party to honest broker this thing between and the cool aunt is as good a choice as any.
I'm not even sure MM has that information, even though he's known Butcher a lot longer. This goes further back.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Speaking of MM, Huey tells him that he thinks Butcher isn't doing well because he was nice on the phone, and MM's curious. He wants to know more about it.
Did you see that MM was watching Outlander? Widely considered,
No, is that what that was?
Women's entertainment, yeah.
Kind of ashamed of watching it.
It'd be like Outlander or Downton Abbey if you wanted to shame a conventionally masculine character's television choices.
Okay.
Maybe Gilmore Girls. I'm a fan of all of them except for Outlander. Cecily watches it. Outlander's incomprehensible to me.
I've never seen it. Is that the time travel one, or am I thinking of like?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like World War I nurse time travels back to Scotland. There's tons of sex and bondage and stuff. It's
All right. Frenchie follows Kamiko down the street. Just real quick shot of him following her. There's then more filming of this awful movie. The girls are getting it done by teaming up to go to a tower and get a flash drive. They cut and they want to redo the scene with Starlight actually pretending to like Stormfront. And we get...
Yeah, she says... I thought this is interesting because, like, I thought one of the things that would be interesting for them to play with is the fact that the superheroes themselves are not necessarily the best actors. But they're not doing that. Like, these are all actors and they can apparently act, which is... I thought they might do something like, for every time you get a guy like Michael Jordan or LeBron James is really good at this too, like being a personality. You know, sometimes you get guys like Mike Tyson who just doesn't got that gear, you know. You have guys like Peyton Manning's really funny. But then a lot of other people are not, you know, like you either got it or you don't. And I thought they might play with some of these guys just being really labored, but no, they all act like pros, except for maybe Starlight. So I thought it was kind of, I thought it was pretty quick thinking on her part, to like pivot to like, no, I just really amazed at your natural acting performance.
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room here with this movie is that it's called Dawn of the Seven, and they're missing like half the seven. And Starlight's in it, and Starlight wasn't a thing. She didn't dawn with the seven. The Deep's not in there. The Dawn of the Seven starts with A-Train leaving the Seven. That none of this makes sense. This movie is a piece of garbage that should be torn to shreds in the fandom.
It kind of works as commentary on the DC film thing, that it's like ill-advised, doesn't make sense. The character introductions are rushed. The order the things come out is bizarre. They don't naturally, organically build it. It's not the actual... I felt like there's a lot of that stuff that works as kind of like criticism of DC as a whole.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You know, Marvel's the...
Having said that, it looks like Marvel's doing a little
right.
bit of floundering right now, and DC might be the ones that can do some fresh takes on characters and turn things around. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. One
2020,
Batman movie
what a wild
does
world.
not make a franchise.
That's true.
Batman has always been consistently good. No, okay.
Yeah.
There's a movie or two that may or may not be satire. There in the 90s that was bad, but like...
Batman feels like there's been so many iterations of him, and I think this is what DC's strength is that one bad one can't sink his character. Like, because we know what good Batman looks like. Sure. And you can poke fun at Batman like Adam West did. Currently, like, I'm in the middle of watching HBO's Harley Quinn series and having an enormous amount of fun with that. I thought that movie was also successful because it's another way to, like, you know, Batman doesn't have to be grim. He can kind of be funny, too, if he's in the right setting. Like, DC has that kind of multiverse built into it that they could make hay with, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I like the cameo here by Greg Grunberg, who was in basically everything that I like on television.
That's J.J.
or
Abrams'
cinema.
partner too, isn't he? Like writing partner.
So they were. He was back when I first learned who Greg Grunberg was. It was in Lost. He was one of the pilots. He was in the early goings of that, which is one of J.J. Abrams' early works. You know.
He was also like in Star Wars, like he was a fighter pilot, X-Wing pilot. He's in the background of a lot of this stuff.
Yep, that's cool to see him. So the Deep got married, as reported on the news. We'll get to more of that later. But Butcher shows up at his aunt's house. He takes his Pitbull for a walk while trying to figure out what his life has been for up until now. Having a bit of an existential crisis.
Yeah, they do a lot of painting in his backstory. The fact you find that he's got a mom and dad. His dad's dying of cancer, but Butcher doesn't give it. Not fast enough for Butcher, so apparently the relationship he has with his mom and dad is very strained.
That's true of all his relationships.
He's got this English bulldog that, like, I'm trying to do the math on this. It's Becca. Like, this dog has a relationship with Becca.
Which is like
clearly
16
hasn't been
years or something.
Yeah, like, how old is Ryan? 12, 13, 14? This is an old fucking bulldog. They get it as a puppy, and I feel like no one did a lot of dog year counting when they did some of this other plotting. But yeah, he's got a dog. His name's Terror, and he's apparently a very geriatric, old and long in the tooth bulldog, but still spry somehow.
I don't know. But then we go back to the Dawn of the Seven with A-Train rewriting his exit scene to be less final, more open-ended. The director shoots down his changes. A-Train is like, fine, I'm not doing the scene at all. I'm not going to say these lines. The director tells him to take it up with Ashley. He doesn't.
Way above my pay grade, because I know where these rewrites came from, and they came from Homelander, obviously.
Came from Stormfront. The majority of them from Stormfront, seemingly.
Oh, you think Stormfront? Okay, because I figured that Homelander's the one who's got the boner for A-Train. But you're right, because that's the other thing I thought is like, well, the Dawn of the Seven, why is Stormfront involved in this at all? But yeah, apparently they're rewriting it to where, I don't know, like, is it? But I don't know. They've always made this though where it's lightly fictionalized. So,
and you're right. I'm sure Homelander was more involved in the scene of rewriting A-Train out.
Right.
But yeah, I just remember Stormfront had that script that was just marked to
but
hell and back.
Stormfront would. That's right. Stormfront would want it because she's racist.
Yeah,
she doesn't want to share the Seven with Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, she'd probably, if not the instigator, would be the one that's like certainly moving and shaking to get the Seven a little bit more whiter, a little less representative.
Yeah, they do have that scene later on where she does more than hint at that.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get there. There's some a quick shot of Katie Couric interviewing the Deep after his marriage, and they're discussing, I guess, the elephant in that room, which they seem to think is like the history that the Deep has, but she wants to know about the church, I guess.
Yeah, because she's like, it seems like that she's doing her job and providing a smoke screen for like, hey, he's had his trouble, but like, he's got new religion and he's treating me so well and trying to rehabilitate the image, which, this is basic kind of like PR stuff, right? Change the story. If you don't like the story, change the story. And that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah. And I mean, the church is the perfect tool for that, right? Like,
I guess
what's going to be more controversial than a superhero joining a cult, essentially. But we'll see where that goes. There are some Eastern European guys, I don't know exactly where they're from, arguing about the historical accuracy of Hamilton. When Kimiko shows up, she rips the face clean off of one guy and kills the other two. Yeah. And Frenchie continues to follow her.
That's wild, man. Getting your face ripped off.
Yeah, I don't want it to happen.
I was associated with like something a chimpanzee. You always hear like when a chimpanzee goes bad, like even the worst of us, when you're trying to fight, we don't think of like just ripping people's face or genitals off, and that's like a chimpanzee's primary target, because it turns out really sucks to have your fucking face ripped off.
Or your genitals. Both.
Or your genitals. It looked just horrific. It looked like I mean, you're a lot more steeped in this than I am, but like I feel like that's like half of the horror movie covers in the 80s, where someone's face getting ripped off and just kind of staring out their lidless eyes at you.
Absolutely.
It's a bad week for lidless eyes between this and Raised by Wolves, I'm gonna tell you.
So I feel like they really missed an opportunity here, though, because Frenchie comes in right after this happens. He's still following her, and he looks down and he sees the skin on the floor. I feel like it would have been much better if they just had him slip on that. Just like step right on it, stumble a little bit, look down and see what it was, and then keep going. But
yeah,
I don't know. It was still very good the way they did it.
We found that she trucks gunshot wounds like no problem.
Yeah.
And also I really liked seeing that she had like pistol whipped the dude so hard that the grip of the pistol had embedded into his eye socket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whew, Kamiko, you don't want her on your bad side.
No, you don't. So then Huey and M show up at Butcher's aunt's house. He tries to get him to leave, but they won't. So Butcher decides he's going to leave instead. As he's getting into his car, he sees Black Noir watching him from a rooftop across the street. And he goes back into the house and locks it down, explaining the whole Becca situation to the rest of the boys. They decide they're going to call the fire department for cover while makes IEDs.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff here. The fact that like Butcher just can't be honest about the fact that his wife, cut him out. I liked Aunt Judy saying that's Tara's girlfriend, dear. And then him like what? And she's like the instant escalation to like that's his fuck pig. Like she tries a polite term and then from there just goes, you know what? Let's just call a spade a spade. It's a fuck pig.
Yep.
I love that. Also, I don't know if this is intentional, but Black Noir hiding out on this waspy little neighborhood in broad daylight in his Ninja Batman gear is high comedy. I laughed out loud at him kind of being up on that roof. Tee-hee, I am the shadows and the night. Tee-hee. It's really funny. I mean, it doesn't take away from his menace at all, but the juxtaposition is hilarious to me.
Absolutely. I was surprised to learn that he's faster than a car. Like I guess I didn't realize that he had those kind of powers. I don't know if that's his utility belt and his grappling hook and his other Batman gear or what, but
I wondered the same too. Like what exactly? Yeah, super strong. Yep, super tough and resilient. And mutant healing factor, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, being like literally like there's a lot of overlap because the Homelander is super fucking fast too. We find it in this episode.
That's A-Train's defining feature.
Yeah, right. That's kind of a problem for A-Train. Of course, I guess that's why also maybe they're replaceable because it seemed like there's been more A-Trains because they talked about like 3 different versions of the fast guy that they always have on the team. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's one of the reasons like him and the Deep are always on the bubble because like, you know what? We're all pretty fucking fast and you can talk to Fish. Wow.
Nobody else can talk to Fish though. Where are you going to be when you need me to talk to Fish, huh?
Right. It'd be like if everyone could also communicate from Fish, but just not as great as a range, Like you're really splitting the powers pretty fine here too.
So then Annie sees her mother at the craft tent talking to Stormfront. Turns out they have talked about the Compound V situation, and her mother is ready to make amends for lying to her all these years. Stormfront says something here that makes Annie realize, or it's a look or something that makes Annie realize she knows about the Compound V leak and that she was the one who did that.
Yeah. Why is Stormfront inserting herself in this situation? I guess with the hindsight of seeing the whole episode, it's probably because she wanted to have some kind of confrontation with Starlight, mm-hmm. so that she could, spring this trap on her, this confidence trap.
Yeah, I mean, she's embedding herself thoroughly into the 7, right? This episode was all about embedding herself, and last episode to a degree was about embedding herself with Homelander, winning his good graces, and I think like
and not even
that
good
might
graces,
be her
but
mission.
Setting something up, setting some dependency up.
Yeah, this might be her assignment, right? I mean, Stan Edgar picked her, made her part of the 7 himself, so she might be there specifically to get into all of their dirty laundry. And we
also know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, they know all about her extracurricular stuff too, because as Huey said, they've been moving her around like the Catholic Church moves pedophile priests. Like, they're deliberately, they know that she's a known quantity and she's being pushed to the 7 now. Why? You're right. She might actually have orders from the top.
Yeah. I like this scene with her mother. Like, I get that Starlight is resistant to accepting an apology. It's a big betrayal that's happened.
But she's not even apologizing. She's like, well, lots of parents did it. As a way to easily get ahead through your child. I fucking hate her mom, man.
Huh. Okay. I thought there was a partial explanation and a partial apology here. I don't know. Like, I don't think just coming in and saying I'm sorry is going to fix everything.
Sure.
This is going to be a process. Maybe this first volley was unsuccessful. It definitely was unsuccessful, but maybe it was ill-advised. Maybe it didn't go off exactly how she wanted it to, but I don't know. She's trying to do something here, which
She is trying.
better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah. But like, Starlight says, it's like she's trying to build a bridge that I don't want,
Sure.
She's trying to mend the fence that I want to remain torn down. So
yeah,
we will see.
All right, Maeve is pitched on an image makeover focused around her sexual orientation, and this includes Elena in the whole thing. And Elena is completely uninterested, and she's bothered by Maeve's silence on the whole thing. So she leaves, and when she does, Maeve follows her and tells her that they have no choice but to play along with this because of Homelander, but she also promises we're going to take him down.
Yeah, they do a lot of like I guess I'm on board generally with corporate America embracing LGBT causes because it's better than being actively hostile against it. But this is the other side, that it's just mercantile, it's market tested, it's disingenuous. It's also like in their rush to promote these gay relationships, they're erasing bi people. Because it turns out May's not gay, she's bisexual. Right. And then to sell this, they have to have Maeve looking very feminine, waving a rainbow flag, and they're butching up her girlfriend to kind of like just fit into this other kind of like lightly hammered out gender role. It's really, I mean, like it's really good cultural critique, and it works on like multiple different levels. But then underpinning everything is just the quiet desperation of like, my God, we have to play along with this, or this madman will kill us. He'll roast us alive.
Yeah, no, it's of a piece with what they're doing with Stormfront, I think, because if you look at that situation, Stan Edgar, a black man, has put Stormfront, a noted racist, into a position of power in order to serve his business and financial purposes, regardless of how he might personally feel about that.
Which that's what another question I had is like, what's Stormfront going to do? Because like it seems like you're right, her racial ideology cannot be consistent with like taking orders from this guy. Like, what's his plan? He's got at this point he needs an anti-Homelander plan, he needs an anti-Stormfront plan. If Stormfront's his anti-Homelander plan, then it's like the episode of The Simpsons where like an invasive species gets out. It's like, well, we got cats to eat the birds, and there's snakes to eat the cats, and we found a rare type of ape that thrives on snake meat. Well, what do you do with when the apes go out or run amok? Oh, well,
sure.
They freeze to death in the winter. Like, he's got to have some plans, some contingencies. And the thing is like with Giancarlo Esposito, just with the sheer force of will and his previous characters, I believe that he does. Like, I believe that he's like the Batman. He's prepared for it. He's got the kryptonite bullet for when Superman goes rogue. That's a lot of the drama this season is waiting for that shoe to fucking drop.
Yeah, and I guess my larger point on that is that he's putting profit ahead of whatever his personal feelings might be on a thing. Much the same way as like they're trying to push on Maeve here, right?
Right.
Like, oh, we need to remake the image, and we're gonna latch on to this very personal thing about you. And we're going to play it for all it's worth. I don't know. Stan Edgar seems to be doing that to remake the Seven in this new era.
It's like OJ. I'm not black. I'm OJ. It's like Michael Jordan. You know, Republicans buy sneakers. Like, it's sometimes people do put money ahead of they just don't prioritize the other things.
But the end of the scene has me super jazzed for what might come of it. I don't know why she goes to the deep to ask for help with this, but her promise that they're going to take Homelander down, is exciting. I don't know what that looks like. I'm hoping Maeve has an actual plan, and it's not just like make this up as I go along and hope for the best, because that might not work out for her.
No, but at this point, I don't need much motivation to root for a girl squad to take down Homelander.
Absolutely. So Huey arms the IEDs while the fire department mills around outside. Butcher decides he's going to go outside, sacrificing himself to Black Noir in order to buy them a chance to leave. Huey's not impressed with his macho suicide plan, tells him, look, just suck it up. We've all lost a punch. Butcher goes off on him, threatens to kick his ass when he won't move, but MM shows up and he's got his back.
Man, there's some really good dialogue here. I love the Butcherisms, expecting a happy ending, are we? It ain't that kind of massage parlor. That's really funny. And, Butcher saying, don't make me move him. And Mother's Milk coming in is like, well, you can move him, but good luck with me. And he's got all this MacGyver wire wrapped around him. That shit's, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. It's pretty badass dialogue. And Huey really, tugs on Superman's cape here by going right at the Becca situation, and trying to hey, look, man, we get it. You're as pathetic as the rest of us. Like, that's not what Butcher wants to hear. No. Especially coming in. And it makes so much sense when we later find out about the baby brother situation. Why he doesn't just break Huey's neck, and also why that really hits him home. Like, your baby brother kind of calling you out on some things has got to be something tough to take. So he's dealing with a lot of stuff in this, and it's a really well written, well acted scene.
Yeah, and they're continuing to show that the boys have got each other's backs. That stuff with MM coming at the end is minor, but it's like reinforcing the idea that they're coming together as a group, and the Butcher is still like the odd man out when it comes to that and needs to get on board with it.
Yeah. And I'm glad they also mentioned Robin, because I felt like there's in the margins, like, God damn, that was his girlfriend, right? He cared about her, and it's just and Starlight's a rebound, right? I'm glad that they mentioned that he's still fucked up about that. And that's something that you always kind of adjust your grade of how Huey's dealing with it, because damn, he went from 0 to 60 real fucking fast, 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And I like that they actually called back to that, even though I kind of wish it was more of part of his character. But it's nice that they're actually giving lip service to it anyway.
Frenchie follows Kimiko into a church where she picks up info on her next target. He finds out that she's been working as an assassin for his prostitute therapist. I don't know, Cherry?
Side piece, yeah.
Cherry? I don't know how to say it. He begs her to stop, and they get into an argument that he can't understand, actually. And it ends with him saying, fuck you, and her taking the next hit job. How do they know each other?
Frenchie?
Is this just like a remnant of them using the gun runners and the drug runners and stuff, and she's part of that, and she got to know Kimiko through it?
Yeah, this felt a little disjointed, because I can almost buy that Kimiko was following Frenchie the way Frenchie was following her.
Okay. Or that she was part of the boys and just like those people were around.
But she wasn't. I mean, she was a MacGuffin last season, and she was only important to the boys through her relationship with her brother and early goings of this season. So I was confused, but also maybe Frenchie's ex-girlfriend / slam piece / psychiatrist is just the person you go to if you want, the hooked up. It's like what's the veterinarian and. No, the veterinarian in Better Call Saul, the guy that like sets up all the big jobs. Maybe she's just the go-to in New York, and all kind of roads go through, and it's a coincidence. But I felt like it was a pretty big coincidence that needed some kind of like, how did you know each other? Like a line or two, and they didn't. It's also entirely possible that there was a connection last season, or even in the margins of this season, I just didn't pick up on. But I did feel like it was a little disjointed.
Maybe she's like the Al Swearingen from John Wick, right? Like,
yeah. She's a
facilitator.
Yeah, she's a facilitator.
Yeah. Okay, the Deep does a commercial for the Church of the Collective, which A-Train watches, thinks it's bullshit. Stormfront insinuates some racist shit about the purity of the church, which pisses him off. And then Ashley tries to talk to A-Train, talk him into doing the scene as written. And in order to accomplish that, she has to threaten to fire him for breach of contract. He does the scene, and they just quickly move on.
It's
throw
wild
him
because
away.
are they going to take all the, is that Maeve's plan, is to take all the disaffected cast-offs of, like maybe that lamplighter
Yeah.
also got forced out and team up against Homelander? Because giving A-Train this scene with Stormfront on the way out doesn't make sense to me narratively. Like, who cares if he finds out that she's a virulent racist?
Yeah.
Um,
No,
if
and he's
he's
got this
never going,
relationship with Annie. I think like yeah, there's gonna be some coalition here between although it's all like the B tiers, right? Like the Deep and A Train, a
yeah,
superhero who's the fastest man but can't run now. The Deep can talk to fish. Starlight is like
yeah, it
third
is a
fiddle.
ragtag misfit. The Goonies / Dirty Dozen. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not the bravest and finest. They're just the people that answer the call, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the Avengers assembling here. It's just it's taking its sweet time.
Well, there's also kind of interesting thematically if you take Stormfront literally that some people are garbage and some people are quality, and
Mm.
like you just invert the definitions. Like her and Homelander are quality, and A Train and
Yeah.
the Deep and all these are garbage. Well, what if the garbage is actually the quality
Yeah.
that team up to throw out the garbage? I think that's something interesting they could do thematically that they've
Yeah.
set up the stakes for, sure.
It's another underdog story, and I think like that's kind of what The Boys is in general.
Ashley has kind of a monster scene that like I didn't fully buy. Like, how long has she been in this cook pressure? Like, she was just a personal assistant to somebody.
Yeah.
And now she's talking about like, I don't know, she fucked the guy with elephantitis because she went on a bender for some stress
Yeah.
position and stuff. Like, yeah, it's like it felt all fake. Like, when did you do all this? You didn't do all this.
Right. Yeah, I don't buy that that's her character. I don't like that line. I think it's stupid. It's a non sequitur. It comes out of nowhere. It's not like the
Mm-hmm.
Pippi Longstocking thing where they build it up, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was stupid.
I did too. Don't like it. Didn't like it.
One thing I did love is that A Train, he's doing this final scene where he's given this speech, and he says, you know, I'm leaving the 7 or whatever. And the Homelander turns around and it's not even Homelander, it's his stand-in.
Mm-hmm. He's not even there to say goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't even be there, couldn't be bothered. And then they just kick him. They're like, oh, that was great. If you want another, we'll do it. And he's like, no, I think I got it. Okay, on to the next thing. He's just garbage, right? He's done.
It is pretty good garbage writing, though. Like some of that, thing is, I've been running my whole life. It's time for me to stay put for a while. I know it's the dawn of 7, but it's sunset for the A Train.
Jesus.
It's really good, trashy, cheesy dialogue.
Yes.
It must have been a lot of fun to write and to shoot and to act.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
the fact
really,
that Homelander's not even Homelander, oh my God.
It shows like I don't know, it's an on-screen demonstration of like bad writing versus good writing and how, you know, they can slip from that right into the next scene, which is really good writing. And, you know, this crew can do both of those things.
Just A Train emoting the bitterness of like his send off being this much of a like, oh yeah, one take, okay, it's good, it's good. Did you need anything? Yeah, he's such an afterthought.
So Homelander lands at the protest and takes the mic with Ashley watching on the news, and she's freaking out. He tries to explain to the crowd that sacrifices have to be made for freedom, but the crowd gets unruly, and there's a soldier who gives him the finger, and in return, the crowd gets a laser, which is just fucking devastating. Turns out it's all fantasy, and instead of lasering the crowd, he just flies off.
Man, this scene, so they've been established this in the background as kind of, I think, as an AOC type.
Okay.
This Congressman Newman. And I felt like even more they leaned into that. Although she's, I think, supposed to be older than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But she's like, you're the viral video of you dancing like an Egyptian blew up, kind of a reference to the viral video of her doing some kind of, I don't know, college thing where she was dancing happily. I don't, but like kind of like just kind of this young woman, squad type woman that's causing problems for the establishment, in this case superheroes. is enjoy. And then I just think this is a monster Anthony Starr scene.
Yeah.
Like there's something really chilling about the casual way when I was watching this the second time. Like he's still holding the microphone and just lasering the shit out of people. And towards the end of it, he lets out this kind of like primal roar while he's doing it. I mean, the special effects are doing a lot of heavy lifting, but like, yeah. And then you see the aftermath of all these burning corpses stacked on top of each other. And the widescreen of it cutting through the crowd, or the wide angle,
is fucking ferocious. My mind was blown when this happened. And I'm trying to half of me wishes they hadn't walked it back, but my brain understands like they needed to.
Yeah. And it's like, the crowd is being cordoned off by like these walls of corpses that are being instantaneously created. It's really as bad as the first scene was, where he just casually lasers through somebody and then takes off. This is a 1,000 times worse. But then, like I said, that's a big reach when you're doing this big acting, like where you're literally roaring. It's hard even as a villain to get away with that. You need a really monstrous Ray Fiennes gets away with doing this with fucking Voldemort a lot in Harry Potter. This is about the most grounded psychotic roar I've ever seen out of somebody. And again, Anthony Starr, what a fucking monster.
Yeah, he's incredible. And he's so versatile. Like they're asking him to do so many things in all of his episodes. It's an actor of less caliber. And this guy hasn't done a ton of stuff that's been high profile, but he deserves to, because he's killing it.
Yeah, he's so great in Banshee. He's so good in this. And the thing, what I really got out of the first watch is when he jets off and the crowd just erupts in a roar of their own. That's super dangerous for Homelander, because like the crowd thinks they've beat him. Yeah. They've run him off. They have power. I don't know how much that helps you in an actual war against Homelander, but the fact that this guy can be kind of repelled is got to be a shot in the arm for the resistance, I guess. And that smile that's just like stretched over his face the whole time when he knows he's losing this, right? And yet he has to keep on the face as if he's just given the speech that's going to calm everyone down and everything's okay now, right before he flies off and then freaks the fuck out. And you wonder, like, if this soldier was he watching the Periscope? Was he one of the 3.4 million watching Stormfront blow up Homelander's bot, that he's not actually filming these commercials overseas? He's not eating MREs. He doesn't give a shit about the troops. Like, is this anti-propaganda seeping through? And that's why he says, you don't speak for me. That's pretty good stuff.
It's such so this is what they're going for. But that scene where they're filming that ad with the military and Stormfront is like periscoping it and saying, oh, this is all just a set, they're not in the desert. That might be the same soldier from that scene. And the fact that I don't know is kind of the point, right? Like the military is featuring in that only as a prop for the rest of these superheroes. So I wouldn't recognize him because he's on screen for like half a second and the camera cuts him off most of the time. This might be the same guy.
Sure. Yeah.
So then we go to Black Noir, still waiting when the fire department pulls away. The boys go down to their aunt's taffy room, which is her drug den, actually. I don't know. Taffy room is such a good name for this. Is that a thing?
It is. I don't know, man. But if I had a den like this, I'd start calling it my taffy room. her affordable alternative to healthcare.
yes, privatized healthcare.
Yeah.
It's great. There's something about like in that Weeds sort of sense, like something about the old lady who's running the drug operation out of her home, her, the perceived image versus who she actually is, that I love.
Sure. Oh, real quick before we move on, there's a quick scene in the last where Homelander's jetting off when she's watching his performance, where she runs her fingers through her hair and she's like losing her hair.
Literally tears her hair out.
Yeah, well, she like, because there's this big thing on like Twitch where they say people are balding, where you get so mad that you're bald, you're losing your hair, you go bald, you're balding. Is she balding, or that losing your hair is sometimes like coughing up blood in the movie? It's a signature to just something else going on. Are they doing? Is there something that they might be doing with like a Dr. Manhattan plot where like long-term exposure secondhand to Compound V can be harmful to people?
Oh, interesting. I
Because is
didn't
she
read
literally
that.
pulling her hair out?
I thought it was
Uh,
just a joke about her literally tearing her hair out, trying to keep wraps
hmm.
on Homelander.
No,
Uh,
I went to like there's some greater fulfillment to this,
could be.
especially when the camera lingered on it.
So Homelander watches the video of his protest performance and has a lot of trouble holding it together. He goes to Stormfront for advice, and she gives him a bunch of memes that she hopes his uncle will post on Facebook.
Yeah. Who is Stormfront on the phone with?
I
Someone in
don't know.
Scrubs
Talking about a
talking about.
boy who's a hero.
Yeah, like was she supposed to be there, like doing some kind of photo op and like a wish for kids? She blew off. It's
Is
another
she
thing I thought was a little sloppy.
like was that supposed to be referencing the guy that the it might have been a kid, it might have been a dude, I don't know, that Homelander
In
had
the
lasered in that video, and
maybe
she's like arranging with the protesters or something.
yeah, it's not because like they went to the other guy's side to establish that he's a doctor in Scrubs and like lingered on him like we're supposed to remember his face, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like we're supposed to take notice of him, and I thought I was like, was there some kind of plot last episode where there's one person that's alive after her rampage? I don't know, but I didn't quite get that establishing shot, and it'll probably be filled out for us later on.
Yeah, you could be
Yeah.
right. It might be something like that.
She sets Homelander up with a bunch of fucking fake news memes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these are just, I also like the lines like, this is just a start. I'll have what's his face really punch up to fear. Like we haven't quite weaponized it,
Yeah. The boys waited out in the taffy room. Huey finds out the butcher had a little brother who was a lot like Huey. The Auntie. I don't know her name, actually.
Judy. Aunt Judy.
Okay. Judy tells him a story about Lenny, who's Butcher's little brother, keeping Butcher from killing a kid out of anger when they were young. The IEDs start going off just then, and Black Noir smokes them out. Butcher decides he's going to stay behind to cover the rest of their escape. The boys come together instead and get their asses kicked by Black Noir. They're all about to die when Butcher decides he's going to play his trump card here. Photos of Homelander's son. He threatens to release them. So Stan Edgar calls. I guess he's got a camera on Black Noir at all times.
Did you tell where is that camera?
No idea. The crotch, right on the crotch.
Yeah, man. They zoomed. I froze frame, and I'm like, is this on his knuckle? Is this on his collarbone? Is this his actual like weird spider eye from? I don't know where the fuck that camera is, but it's somewhere. And I wonder if are all the heroes wired and mic'd up like that, and do they know it?
That's a good question.
Like why?
Black Noir clearly knows it, right? Or if he didn't, he knows it now.
Like I wonder if he's a little bit more in the fold, than some of the others are. Like, where Homelander has enough independence to consider stepping out. Like, what's Black Noir's deal that he can't conceive of that? I will say that I thought it was a very effective way to build tension. Those heavy footsteps and then the explosions, and then the long pause, more heavy footsteps and more explosions like that. It really, like, without seeing it, like, sold, Black Noir, not that we needed to, but really sold him as this unstoppable thing that it's just a matter of time.
Wonder what the house looked like. Like as those explosions are going off, I'm thinking neighbors, the house must be insane right now. What does Black Noir look like? And they show that, which I thought was awesome. They show it all.
Yeah,
but he's got all the shrapnel, just covered head to toe in shrapnel.
Looks like a goddamn hedgehog. Yeah, no, it
looks like Hellraiser.
It's crazy.
It's like,
now Butcher's bluffing. He doesn't have this stuff, right?
Yeah, and he gives that that acknowledgement to Huey later at the end of this scene. But yeah, it works. Stan Edgar makes the deal with Butcher over the phone. And I was happy to see later that the neighbors do actually call the fire department back because they had left, and so now they get called back to deal with these explosions.
And it's like a kind of a good cover story, right? Because there already was an established gas leak in the neighborhood, so now you got this house that got exploded. Well, that can happen.
So then the Deep hands out books to the hungry homeless. They are less than thrilled. Can't eat a book. Maeve shows up and offers to vouch for him getting back into the Seven if he will help her with something that, is part of her plan to take down Homelander, I assume, but we don't really get any info.
What in the hell could it possibly be?
That involves the Deep? I have no idea. Like, tarnish his reputation, get him kicked out, I guess, but...
Yeah, like Homelander's only known weakness is spermaceti. And the Deep's going to have to crack open another sperm whale's head to get it out. Like, I don't know. It's so bizarre. What the Deep, he's like the least of them. But I don't know. Maybe he knows a lot. Maybe he's got knows where a lot of the bodies are buried.
Maybe.
Because didn't the Deep last know, he was one of the ones that knew firsthand because he'd gone investigating the wreckage. He knew that Homelander killed that senator. So maybe it's a blackmail rather than like, I need your help. Yeah, there's something about, you're sloppy because the Deep was poking around the wreckage and saw that the engine was neatly bisected by lasers or something. He's got like the goods. Like I wonder if he could like literally get that thing off the bottom of the ocean and prove it to the world that the Homelander killed a senator.
Black box, right?
Yeah, you could get something. I wonder
the black box that records if a plane is lasered in half. Oh yeah, that laser
it could
alarm went off.
It could have the last transmission, the captain going like, "Holy shit, Homelander's like open up firing on us," and I don't know.
Absolutely,
but I wonder that to me is probably what they're going at, because what the fuck can the Deep do?
No, you're right. I think that's a really good guess. I thought it was really funny when he's handing out these books and Maeve comes up and he's like, "Oh, you want to check it out?" She's like, "Fuck no."
Yeah,
Fuck no. I have no interest in this religion.
Yeah, but I could be the woman that says that you're not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, he's already got one, though.
It's true.
He's got the paleontologist from Vassar, but maybe that's not as good as Maeve. Probably not as good as Maeve.
Yeah, I mean, certainly doesn't have the clout that Maeve has. All right, Annie sneaks into Stormfront's trailer while she's out filming a scene and hacks into her computer. I use hacking in the loosest term possible. When Stormfront returns to her trailer, Annie covers by chewing her out about talking to her mother. Stormfront has figured out her entire involvement in Compound V and that leak. And that's fine because Annie can threaten to reveal that she's Liberty. They all have informational leverage. Stormfront seems unbothered by that whole thing, though. And Homelander shows up to thank her for advice, which is working.
Oh, she seems to have the better winning hand. I am very curious about the Sage Grove thing,
Yeah, there's a lot of emails about Sage Grove.
I wonder, because remember when we were watching season 2 of True Detective and there was this, some kind of super secret rich white guy society in the redwoods of California. I wonder if they're trying to gesture to that, like kind of some kind of secret society.
Could be.
With some kind of weird religious practices or whatnot. That's the thing that I thought of. I mean, it's just a breadcrumb for now, and I don't have any inside information on it, but that's where I'm going for. Some kind of secret rich guy, white guy society.
Yeah. This scene makes me hate Stormfront even more.
Sure.
Her attitude. Ugh. Disgusting.
It is pretty clever. I like the frame of it being like, "Oh, look at you, you can act." And then when she accuses the V and says, "I don't know what you're talking about. The magic's gone. The performance is just not working for me anymore." It's a pretty good way to shine somebody on.
Yeah. Can't stand it. All right. The cops show up at Auntie's house. Butcher promises his dog that he'll get Becca back and says goodbye to his aunt, Judy, and gives Huey a thankful nod as he leaves. This is kind of the coming together, but also the ripping apart of the boys, right? Because he's going after Becca, I assume.
I guess. Like, I don't really know exactly whatever's everyone's trajectory is at the end of this, but him and Huey having a moment is something for sure. But yeah, where this goes now, I don't know.
I feel like the boys are probably going to go investigate Stormfront's background to see if they can dig up some dirt on her.
Dig up some more Liberty dirt, yeah.
Yeah, which, Starlight might be able to help them with now again. And then Butcher has made a solemn vow to his dog that he's going to get Becca back, so I assume that's where he's headed to hatch some plan there. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to, because like the way he gets Becca back is like gets right with her superhero kid, and
Gets right with himself.
That's all inside. That's all inside work, man. And then how you convince someone that you've done the inside work, if you've actually really done it, that's with only three episodes left too.
Yeah,
a lot of heavy lifting to go at what I think is going to be the end of climax of this season. We'll see how they get there.
I mean, it's totally possible the Butcher, hatches a half-baked plan and goes and executes, and it just blows up in his face, right? Totally within the Butcher wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that he tries to do something and ends up setting him back for sure.
Yeah. And then finally, Stormfront and Homelander have super sex. She encourages him to laser her tits, and he does. And it hurts her just the right amount. Just the right amount. Takes him a couple tries to get there, though.
Then they have pretty vanilla, violent super sex.
Floaty super sex. It's
pretty underwhelming.
I want to see the aftermath. That's what I want. Like, okay, maybe you can't show me like full on super sex, but show me just like holes in the build. Like if she's blowing holes in the building, chasing down a terrorist, I want to see this tower reduced to rubble.
You're right.
By the end of this.
Yeah, the casual violence to bring a low-leveled super terrorist was far eclipsed the sexual violence that we had on display here. Where people who both of them wanted to come to play. Yeah, I want to see her, I don't know, lasso Homelander with the lasso of truth and riding him around that apartment like a fucking stallion.
End up in Starlight's bedroom, just smash through the ceiling. A-Train's apartment is empty. Let's go there. Let's see what we can do.
I want to see this penthouse so wrecked they have to blame it on an act of super terrorism. Like Starlight's penthouse apartment was blown to pieces in a desperate attack by
the sex toy terrorist.
Right.
Titanium dildos all over that place. Mm-hmm. It's a bad scene.
Something. But like I said, I thought they might get there with the lasering tits. That was pretty horrific. And then it just got more and more boring and vanilla.
They have not showed me the aftermath of the tit lasering, though. Like, I wanted to know, does she heal super fast? They don't ever
like she was.
Show it. I think they implied it, but yeah.
Right.
I wanted to see.
Right. Yeah, because she's not invulnerable to it. Just like, because I was wondering, like, if he kept going, could he just like torture her heart? What would that look like?
I think so. And if he went full strength, I bet he would have just cut right through her.
Yeah, maybe. Although she did seem to goad him, and he did seem to like really pour it on. I don't know. Like she's very, very fucking tough.
Oh, he didn't let out a primal scream after he lasered her tits.
He didn't do that, true. Yeah. But he also wasn't nearly as frustrated. She'd brought him up by 5 points, and then going to bring him up the other 4.5. It looks like. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is where they're starting, and every episode from now, they're going to have a even more crazy super sex thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty I mean, the sex is going to get weird, right? I mean, you've got a narcissistic god with mommy issues banging a 100-year-old racist,
super-powered white supremacist. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, postmodernist social media influencer. Like, it's gonna get fucking strange, and I want to see the inevitable conclusion.
You're not wrong. And they call this the boys. It's not the mature adult men, right?
True.
So like maybe we're looking for something that we're just not going to get. So it's going to be all adolescent violence and prepubescent notions of sex. That's fair.
I think so. All right, that's it, man. That's the end of the episode.
And that will do it for this week. We will be back next week for the next exciting episode of The Boys, maybe with even more super sex. But until then, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Jim.
See you next time.